Great day.
All right, so let's talk about a lot of people are talking about inflation, groceries, and the last report came out and inflation was 3.5% annually. Now that takes an average of a whole bunch of things. So some things have gone through the roof to bring that average up to 3.5% because the price of some things have gone down. And the reason the price of some things have gone down, it's just simple economics because the price of other things have gone up. So people have to prioritize certain things. And so they stop buying other things. And it all ties into the economy. So they stop buying other maybe luxury or items that they're not necessary. And so the price of those things goes down. So that 3.5 number is more significant than it looks than just looking at the average. So I have a lot of thoughts on this, and this is my wheelhouse. Where my education is in business and economics. So, but I'll let you start, Pastor, on your thoughts on this and the causes and so on.
I don't think that we as a nation quite get it. Now, from what I understand, that 3.5% leaves out gas and basic food. And that's one of the areas that's really hurt people who don't have a lot of income. And I tend to be, I don't know, concerned about the poor in that they don't have room for all this extra cost. They just don't. And the elderly as well, where what inflation does, it outpaces the steady state of Social Security and whatever help that the poor might get. They stayed pretty much the same and almost ignored, while the more successful business people, they hardly notice it by comparison to their income. And also, I just watched some numbers go by where the average young person does not make enough to even make payments on a house, where their income just alone, not feeding themselves, not the other expenses, but just the total of their income is not sufficient for a regular, average, everyday house. And that just astounded me. It's crazy how inflation has just left a lot of people behind. And then on top of that, here in California, they put in the wage law. Where if you're a restaurant worker, whoever employs you, like McDonald's, it's $20 an hour, and that has really hurt the restaurant business. They've laid people off left and right, and we also have some other stores closing because that pressure is just too great. So.
Yeah. And here's what happens. People talk about, taxes and, and when I vote, my vote always this is just me. I vote for the economy. I'm not voting for people. I'm voting for the economy. I've always voted like that since I was 18 years old. And it's not just about taxes. Because you can raise taxes all you want. You can raise taxes on billionaires and take all their money. It's not because the low income people, they're still paying for everything. And you said it, Victor, they're still paying for everything. How are they doing that? Okay, here's how low income people or poor people or whatever you want to call them, here's how they're paying for it: through inflation. So when money is printed and pays for all these things like wars, and it pays for migrants. That money is being printed, so it devalues the dollar that the homeless person has in his or her hand. So that dollar is not a dollar anymore. It's 70 cents, and then it's 60 cents, and then it's 40 cents. So that is who is really paying for all this stuff. When money is spent, it costs everyone. Now, we talk about the Fed, and the Fed is going to lower interest rates. Everybody gets excited about that. The stock market starts to go up. Why? Because when interest rates go down, stuff is cheaper. And so they get excited about it. But then the inflation comes up, and the Feds, they can't hide. What they do is they can't gaslight people because it's out in the open. You lowered interest rates. Oh, you made my life better. Oh, you raised interest rates. You made my life worse. How does that happen? Well, when interest rates go up, things are more expensive. They're expensive to leverage, like a home or a car. It costs more money. Why? Because you're paying more interest. Now, the Fed has to do that. They're doing that on purpose to stop the inflation. Because when they raise interest rates, people aren't going to go out and buy cars. If they don't go out and buy cars, then the price of a car has to come down because of supply and demand. So all the Fed is doing is they're playing and manipulating supply and demand, which everyone either pays for or doesn't pay for. It doesn't matter how much money you have. And I think a lot of people don't understand this. Economic policies. Okay, you may be a person who just is totally obsessed with climate change. And I noticed that it's not global warming anymore. It's climate change because it's probably getting cooler. But if you go back to an ice age, biblically, you believe there was an ice age, Pastor?
Oh, I lost the phrase there.
Do you believe that there was an ice age? Was there an ice age at one time?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so there was an ice age. So we've been global warming ever since then. Okay, it's getting warmer since the ice age. Now, I don't think we're going to go back into another one, but I digressed. So, my point is it's the policies. And so if you're one of those person that's really, really worried about climate change, well, let's pretend there's no climate change. I do that all the time. I pretend like there isn't because we don't control it. God controls it. I tell my daughter this all the time. You know what? If you go read, I think it's like Revelation 13 or 16, it's going to get really hot. We know that because that's what it says in the book of Revelation. It's going to get hot. So stop worrying about it. There's nothing you can do about it anyway. So when energy prices are lower, it stops inflation. So that would be an economic policy coming from governors, mayors, the president, those policies that affect energy and cause energy to be more affordable or less expensive will stop inflation. Why? Because gas is cheaper. Now, how do you do that with a policy? Well, you allow drilling. When drilling is done and you can get the oil and the pipelines are freed up and so on. And for instance, our country is self-sufficient. It causes energy to go down. It causes energy prices to go down in the whole world because of that. When we're taking that resource, because you just made the supply go up. When the supply goes up, the price is going to come down. It's simple math. It's just how it works. So when that happens, it's going to make food less expensive. Why? Well, because the food is on a truck coming from somewhere. We buy things are shipped. Okay, the cost of shipping is going to go down, which is going to cause the price of everything is going to go down, so that these companies can sell more of it. And they want to sell more of it and make more money, so they have to be competitive. They lower their price a little bit, they sell more of it. Well, when they sell more of it, people are buying more of it, which here comes the cycle, because a strong economy causes inflation. So the policies, the political policies affect inflation big time. If you're listening to this, like I said, I vote for the economy. I always vote for the economy. I forget the people. I want to know what the policies are and what they're doing, and that's how I vote. A lot of people vote on social issues. Hey, especially if you're a Bible person, that's really, really important to some people. Some people, the social issues are more important than the economic issues. So I'm a business owner, so I don't know, call me selfish. I vote for the economy. I can go more, but go ahead, Victor. I'll give you a turn.
I back to that the poor and middle class now, where it's a kind of way of stealing from the middle class and the poor. That's my biggest concern. And so the economy really it's critical to how our nation runs, because I mean, guys out there plowing the fields, running a tractor, taking care of the livestock. If they don't do their job, we don't have anything to eat. And you can go in 1,000 different directions like that. And the middle class, I mean, when I was a kid, every farmer was just barely making it in a normal economy. And I know that a lot of farms just kind of dispersed into the more corporate things, but it's not a good way to push small businessmen into the corner and discount them or forget about them. And I found, at least my impression of it all in my area, it's like send money out to everybody but the average guy. It's crazy. It's upside down. So what I'm saying is, even though it may not be listed as a socialist issue, it is a huge issue socially for everyone, especially those who are disadvantaged. And that's one of my big concerns, is seeing people who are just painted into a corner and they can't get out because the politicians have made decisions to just spend like drunken sailors. It's wrong, and it's more wrong. And we're allowing that to go on, and we need to see some changes. That's my big emphasis, because you can only owe money so long, and it starts to eat you up. And that's what's happening with our whole mentality in this economy. So I'll stop there.
You make a great point, Pastor. And it's that you can raise, people think that they're voting for the economy, and this president's going to raise taxes on rich people. Their taxes are not getting raised. Let me tell you why. They are wealthy. They raise the prices. They own real estate. Look, I own commercial real estate. So what? I don't care about inflation. Here's why. Because my boat is going up with the tide. Because I have tangible assets that the dollar doesn't really affect. Huh?
Let me kind of explain that, because I know you're so used to thinking in kind of advanced terms. But what happened is, like, it's in the news big news that Bill Gates buys all this farmland. So if the farmland goes up with the kind of inflation, which it inevitably does, it doesn't cost Bill Gates a thing to see all of this inflation go to it. Where the average guy, he's got to sell his farm to Bill Gates just to survive, and it's a travesty of justice. And I think that's really important to see and understand.
For sure. And that goes right to my point. Look, the wealthy person, their boat is going up with the tide. Okay. But the middle class, they're drowning. Yeah. They're drowning down here because they don't have a boat. And their dollar is being devalued. So who's really paying the taxes? It's the person that's drowning. They're paying it because their dollar is devalued. If you devalue the dollar 30%, you paid 30% tax. And then the wealthy guy, he didn't pay anything because he's got tangible assets. The value of the real estate is the same, but it takes more dollars to buy the real estate or to rent the real estate. So not really paying at all. And that's what people really don't understand. It's about the economy. And these people, like it's really hitting the middle class and probably even the upper middle class now. It's hitting them. I don't know, what does upper middle class make? What would you say, $150,000 a year? That's upper middle class? I don't know. But it's affecting those people because their buying power is diminished because of the economic policies. So that it's important to understand this. And you see, these politicians will just say, oh, we're going to make the billionaires pay. No, you're not making them pay. You are putting money in their pockets by doing this. And like I said, the people with all the money, they don't care about inflation. Up or down, it doesn't affect them at all because their boat is rising with the tide and it's going down with the tide. They're right there in the same place.
Lord help us.
Yeah. So you guys have comments or thoughts on this, put them in the comment section. If you want to know more about me, you can go to stevemain.com. Victor, you have a YouTube channel too, don't you?
Yes, askourpastor.com. Ask Our Pastor.
And also a website, Ask Our Pastor. Yep. That's a pretty cool, where you just kind of do your teachings and stuff that you love. So you can go to Ask Our Pastor and find out more about Victor also. So thanks for being with us, Pastor.
Great. Thanks much.